Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to talk about 3 series. One of these series is on my TBR, one is on my DNF, and one is 5-star. Absolutely recommend, 100% you have to read. So first, let's do my DNF, which is, unfortunately, the Twilight series. And I do feel a little bit bad about claiming this on my DNF list. I will never finish this. I have tried twice to read this series and I've never gotten past the first one, which is Twilight. I've read Twilight twice now, and both times I've read it, I have had no interest in going on to the second one, which is, I believe, Eclipse. I've had many people recommend it to me. I have 2 very close friends who read it, and to the point where if they start it, they just sit down and finish it, like over a weekend or whatever, the whole series, love it. I have not had that same feeling, and I think I did see 1 or 2 of the movies. I don't have any emotional investment with Bella, and it's not that she was ruined for me by Kristen Stewart, who I'm not a big fan of hers, but she didn't ruin Bella for me. I just didn't really. I have no emotional attachment to Bella whatsoever. I'm not interested in Edward, really. I mean, which I guess is also a horrible thing to say, because I just don't think of him as this iconic love interest. I don't know. And it's not that I have anything against vampires. I love the Black Dagger Brotherhood, which is a series of vampires, and I think it's probably got like 12 books in it now, by J.R. Ward. Love that series. So I don't have anything against vampires either. And I love Dracula. But I just can't get into this series. And and even my daughter's read. I mean, this is her collection. It's very pretty. But I just know I'll never finish it. So I think it's okay to just put that out there and just be honest that I'm not going to finish the Twilight series. I don't even think I'm going to finish the movies. I do know I've seen 1 of them. But that's my DNF series right there, the Twilight series. Now for my TBR is, this year I'm going to read the Narnia series. And I bought this at a secondhand store, so you can see it's a little bit worn, but it's so big, and it's got pictures. And I just cannot wait to start this. It just looks so engaging. I mean, there's pictures in the beginning of the chapters. And I love black and white stuff like that. I don't know anything about this series. I know it's children, and I know they are in a magical world. And I think I may have read book 3 accidentally, not realizing it was part of a series when I was really little. But anyway, I'm excited to read this, and this is on my list of 100 books to read before you die. Actually, it just says 100 books bucket list, but I would like to read it. I only get to scratch off 1 square, and I think this is the equivalent of 7 books, so I think that's a little unfair. But I am looking forward to reading this, and it gets super high ratings. Everybody's read it, loves it, so I think this one I will finish. Feel pretty good about it. And this is the year, 2022. This is the year for Narnia. So there will be a future video, hopefully, reviewing that. And maybe a vlog of me reading it, or maybe not. But that one, anyway, I'm very looking forward to it. Here's a book. This is a trilogy that I read. So this is a trilogy I give 5 stars to. And I read this for the first time last year. Everybody's always told me to read this. It's everyone's favorite trilogy, The Lord of the Rings. And this one, actually, I did see the movies. I think there's 4 movies, and I think I actually did see all these movies. But way, way, way back in, let's see, 1977, maybe? My aunt gave me these books as a Christmas present. And she had heard about these books from her sons, and they read them, they loved them, and so she bought this for me as my Christmas present one year. And I never read it. And I read The Hobbit, I'm thinking 3-4 times. I love The Hobbit. I love the fact that they set out on this journey just unexpectedly, and it's at night, and they just take off. I love the whole story of The Hobbit. I think I read it to one of my kids, but I don't really 100% remember. Then I would start into book 1, Fellowship of the Ring, which I also had to read as a senior in high school. And I did try and start it maybe 2 or 3 times just to kind of continue the whole, the story arc. And I just never got into it. I think I finished this book at least twice, but I never finished the whole series. I never even got too far into the second book, The Two Towers. Oh, and there's a sticker from an Egg McMuffin, which that Egg McMuffin maybe was in 1980. I mean, that's an old Egg McMuffin. But I think that I maybe got a third of the way through The Two Towers. That might have been as far as I got. Well, then I started watching YouTube, and I saw a lot of booktubers that were challenging themselves to read the Lord of the Rings in a weekend. So I thought that sounded pretty exciting, and it was during the pandemic, so okay, I've got the time. So I took a day off work, and I was going to challenge myself to read the Lord of the Rings in a weekend, starting on Friday. And I bought a bunch of combos. I was going to sit, eat combos, and finish this trilogy. I did not finish the trilogy in that weekend, but I did finish the trilogy in the rest of that year. Actually, it might have been 2020, so I guess not last year, the year before. This is 5 out of 5. So if you've not read this trilogy, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and tell you this I highly recommend. I was in tears by the time I finished this trilogy. You get so connected to all of the characters. There is at least 2 or 3 connections, relationships that develop through this trilogy that are so endearing, and it is worth reading just for those relationships and seeing how they develop. And at the end, you get really emotional. It's a journey. It's an epic journey. It's good versus evil. All of Middle Earth depends upon them, and this seemingly hopeless quest. And you've got Frodo, and he just seems like too small and insignificant, and his best friend Sam, and you're rooting for them, but the whole time it seems hopeless. And then you have some unlikely friendships that form through the journey. And I kind of regret that I tried to read it in a weekend, because I feel like I read it a little too fast. And I did mark some passages in it that were either very meaningful or kind of funny. There's lots of humor in it, which does make it even more heartbreaking, because that makes you love these characters even more. And I would this is the highest rating I can give. Even whatever you're reading right now, finish it, but then immediately pick up the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now, you won't be able to find this edition anymore, because this is from the 70s, and I can't really find where my aunt wrote in it, and I know that she did, but I think it was from 1977 is my memory of when I got this for Christmas. So again, I was probably a little too young to read it at that point, but I since have read it, love it, highly recommend, and then maybe watch the movies if you haven't already. I guess everyone's seen these movies, but the relationships, the good versus evil, the sense of hopelessness, but still continuing even against unbeatable odds. there's just so much to these stories, and I know that everyone recommends them. I know this is not original, but again, they're classics for a reason, and they're highly recommended for a reason. So I hope you like this video. I do feel bad about never finishing Twilight, but I'm being honest with myself. I'm excited about reading Narnia, and I will probably reread this trilogy at some point, although not this year. So please, I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, and or comment any series that you have decided to not finish, or a series that you highly recommend. And I'll see you next time.